Tonight on Canyons News, after 50 years, a new sheriff station prepares to open its doors to the community. Fans of a cult classic are doing the time warp again at the Main in Newhall, and a local gym owner teaches lessons of toughness, not just of the body, but of the mind. Canyons News starts now.
With news from across the Santa Clarita Valley, this is Canyons News.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Canyons News. I'm Jeremy Thompson, and here's the latest from the Canyons newsroom. There were no warrants, no raids, and no arrests, but potentially dangerous drugs were being taken off the street this weekend. Tens of thousands of Californians die from overdoses each year, many by abusing otherwise legitimate medications. National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day aims to prevent such misuse. It's sponsored by the Drug Enforcement Administration in partnership with Kroger, the owner of Ralph's. Twice a year, communities can turn in unused and expired pharmaceuticals at locations around the country. Pharmacy employees also hand out Dispose RX, which can be used to safely dispose of drugs, including opioids, at home.
And they are free of charge, and we actually carry them at different Ralph's locations to give away people who want them to use it at home. And the powder, when mixed with warm water in the bottle of tablets or capsules, it will turn the medication into a jelly like goo, and then they can dispose of them in the trash safely.
According to the DEA, take-back events have collected over 7,000 tons of medications in California alone. From the heat of the flames to the stress of evacuation, fire officials and a local man are reminding residents why you should be prepared for natural disasters. Caden West has more.
Fire season is approaching, and one Santa Clarita resident had a first-hand experience on what it's like being evacuated from his home due to a wildfire. Lucas Silsby was driving home from work when he realized he was being evacuated.
Within 15 minutes of me being home, a deputy was driving up and down the street with his PA system announcing the evacuation.
Lucas only had a small amount of time to gather valuables, pictures, and clothes for the night. According to LA County officials, these situations may get worse. A recent study released by the county states that Santa Clarita is at risk of exposure towards extreme heat and wildfires due to climate-related impacts. However, most fires are caused by human-related incidents.
Either through the use of lawnmowers or weed whackers or chains dragging behind cars, fire starting in your homes, getting to the brush, or arson.
Equipment such as super scoopers and helicopters have been purchased to help fight wildfires this season.
But according to local fire department, there are better ways to prevent these fires from happening.
Cutting dead trees, removing brush and vegetation from your house, and creating defensible space can help prevent fires from starting. Despite these measures, Lucas fears history can repeat itself again.
I think it's just going to be the norm for every fire season we've had, at least in the 7 years we've been here, and most of these have just happened in the last couple of years. I think 3 or 4 fires in these hills behind us.
Reporting for Canyons News, I'm Caden West.
The Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station in Valencia is moving to a new facility in the coming weeks. Cade Kostick rolls in hot with the details.
City officials recently cut the ribbon on a long-standing endeavor to bring better police resources to the citizens of Santa Clarita. A new, better-equipped home for sheriff personnel in a time of rapid expansion for the Santa Clarita Valley.
50 years ago, the station behind me served a community of around 60,000 people. Today, that number is over 300,000, and it's growing.
The current station that opened in 1972 is bursting at the seams, in need of new technologies, better facilities, and more collaboration room. But one thing that will be missed are the time spent over the last 50 years at the station with one another.
That building has served this city for decades. And you know, when you think about it, thousands of men and women have walked through those hallways over the years. And that building has really been the source for You name it, relationships, memories, careers, friendships, triumphs, victories, defeats, everything in between. So certainly going to be bittersweet leaving that place.
The Sheriff's Department, however, does have a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks upon entering their new 46,000 square foot station.
This new station boasts a 4,000 square foot vehicle maintenance facility for on-site vehicle repairs, a heliport, 911 dispatch center, jail, and much, much more.
But it wasn't only the sheriff personnel who were thought of in this equation. It was the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley as well, and how they could be better served.
This facility now offers a meeting room for the community. Everything is designed with the community in mind, making everything's easier. Our deputies being able to respond quicker to emergent call for service. At the end of the day, is with all of you they had in mind when creating this station.
It's all to keep the ever-evolving valley that we call home one of the safest in the nation.
This building you see before you, this was built to accommodate everything we have in this valley now and everything this valley is going to bring at us in the future. This station before you, behind me, is in fact the crown jewel of the Sheriff's Department and will be for many, many years to come.
While the squad cars roll out for the last time on a Magic Mountain Parkway and the final calls are taken in the old station once more, the city residents and Sheriff's Department have new chapters and better equipped opportunities to look forward to on their radar. From Canyons News, I'm Cade Kostick.
Nerds and thrill seekers rejoice. Six Flags Magic Mountain has announced a new roller coaster at their park, Wonder Woman. This Wonder Woman Flight of Courage will feature over 3,000 feet of gravity-defying twists and turns. The new ride will make Magic Mountain the world record holder with 20 coasters in a single theme park. Park President Don McCoy says, "This is a historic milestone for our park as we introduce our latest addition to our unrivaled coaster dynasty, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage." Fans of the DC franchise will also be excited to hear that the thrill capital of the world has plans to improve and redesign the entire DC Universe area of the park. Claudia Conchola's next door, reading the internet so you don't have to. Claudia, what's trending tonight?
Thank you, Jeremy. Actor Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed crew member Helena Hutchins and injured another last week while on set of the upcoming movie Rust. The Santa Fe County District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwise says criminal charges will not be ruled out at this time. The incident occurred just hours after members of the movie's camera crew walked off set claiming unsafe working conditions. Valencia High is experiencing a rise in COVID cases. According to the Signal, parents were alerted this week of 33 confirmed positive cases among staff and students, many of which came from the students' cheerleading team. Students will not be required to quarantine if fully vaccinated or if they have battled COVID within the last 90 days. Former Congresswoman Katie Hill and novelist Alex Thomas are expecting their first child together next year. This comes for a surprise for the pair due to Hill's ongoing battle with endometriosis, an often painful disorder that affects the tissues of the uterus. And that's what's trending. I'm Claudia Canchola. For more stories in and around the Santa Clarita Valley, you could check us out at canyonsnews.com. Back to you, Jeremy, in the studio.
Thank you so much, Claudia, and congratulations to Katie. Last Halloween was tough for many children because of COVID-19, but this year it's going to be more special for kids like Marco Kazani. Here's Greg Haro for more on the story.
The First Presbyterian Church of Newhall holds an annual trunk or treat that has been open to the public for around 5 years now. The volunteers for the event were mostly members of the church, which even had a pastor join in on the fun.
I always set up my truck to do it. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun to see community come together and to help people, yeah.
The volunteers weren't just adult members of the church, but also children members as well. One of the children even helped decorate one of the vehicles and brought a special item with them.
Yeah, it's fun. You get to see other kids play around you, get candy, you get to dress up your things. I got to bring out my pirate.
Who goes there? Look at you. Why, you're even uglier than I remember you.
Marco's mother gives a story of his first prop back when he was 3.
His first Halloween prop was a zombie. When he was 3, he carried it around like a baby doll. His name was Mr. Red Teeth. and we used to have to ride around with him in the car, and he slept in the bed with him. It was just like a baby doll.
Marco's favorite holiday is Halloween and has been since he was 3 years old. Marco's reasoning behind it is,
It's just a lot of fun. You get candy, you get to come home, trade candy.
although Trunk or Treat was a drive-through last year, families got to enjoy the experience in full motion this year.
We need this as a society. We've been pent up too long.
For Canyons News, I'm Greg Harrell.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
How strange was it?
So strange, we made a Canyons News story about it. A group of young performers, including several from COC, are bringing a Halloween tradition back to Santa Clarita with a new twist. I went behind the scenes of their science fiction double feature.
With just
While
a
we're
jump
here,
to the left. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is returning to the main theater in Newhall, and this year the show will have something the Santa Clarita Valley has never seen: a live shadowcast, acting out the film in front of 3 sold-out audiences.
Both us and the main are so excited to finally be able to do it now. They've been doing Rocky for a very long time, but they have never had a shadowcast before, so we are so excited to be the first people to be bringing that into this space in the community.
The self-funded, student-led production was no small undertaking with the lingering COVID pandemic, but the cast brought the show's spirit of "don't dream it, be it" into pulling it off.
There's unexpected roadblocks that come at you. You know, we're college students. We're practicing in a backyard. This is our first day actually in the theater, and I think we're doing pretty good. It's just kind of like your hands and then like Janet just like orgasming, I guess.
Touch me. I wanna be dirty. Come fulfill me. Did you want tonight?
I was in my best friend's bedroom at 15, and she was like, "Have you ever heard of this?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And I think when I saw Tim Curry, something awakened me. And the first time I saw this and found out what a shadowcast was, I was like, I'm gonna be Columbia one day. I feel like this role I was meant to be this.
That connection with the characters and music of Rocky Horror has kept audiences watching it and acting it out for almost 50 years.
Every single person I've showed Rocky to has told me something different about what it meant to them and how it made them feel and what it made them realize. And I think that's what's so beautiful about it, is that everybody watches it and afterwards they are a different person in a different way than everybody else.
The 3 Halloween weekend shows sold out quickly, but if you're shivering with anticipation, the cast started a GoFundMe to bring their floor show back on a regular basis.
The secret to life itself.
A deep desire to entertain keeps a family's century-old business going. Reporter Claudia Conchola goes under the big top as Circus Caballero returns to Santa Clarita.
It began in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico over 100 years ago. 5 generations later, the Circus Caballero continues to perform daily, entertaining audiences in both the U.S. and Mexico.
We own 2 different circuses. One right now is performing in Montebello. This show I manage myself, with my wife, with my kids.
Having been born into the circus, performing has always been a big part of Ruben's life.
My debut on the circus as a professional, I was 7 years old when I go up on the trapeze. That was something that I will never forget.
Now having children, there is much more to be proud of.
I was the first performing to accomplish a quadruple somersault on the flying trapeze. 2 of my kids been accomplished the quadruple somersault besides me.
Through the years, the Caballero Circus has worked with big names such as the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus and Circus Circus in Las Vegas. However, all operations were stopped when COVID struck in 2020.
And we were the first to close and the very last to reopen.
Looking forward, the Caballero family hopes the word circus will be shown in a better light and continue being a source of entertainment.
Circus is a really nice place to be. not like anything else. You know, it's a circus, it's a culture.
The Caballero Circus will be at the Westfield Valencia Town Center Mall until November 1st. From Canyons News, I'm Claudia Cantola.
Coming up next on Canyons News, an MMA champ helps kids square up to bullying. And Saugus football readies to defend its title against Valencia. Don't go anywhere.
College of the Canyons creates possibilities.
It's a gateway to opportunities.
A place where students learn they can believe in themselves.
Behind every possibility at College of the Canyons are the people.
Together we focus on achieving success, one student at a time.
That focus is a reflection of what we value.
It defines who we are.
We are. We are.
We are College of the Canyons.
Welcome back. Exercise and reading are two of the most important things in a child's development. Trail Tales combines them both. For more on this unique event, here's Mark O'Brien.
Reading is a walk in the park. At least it is here at Trail Tales in Santa Clarita. Children of all ages can discover the exciting story of Sammy Clarita, as well as enjoy a beautiful day at Duane R. Hardy Park. This half-a-mile walk throughout the park gives children both a physical and literary adventure, where they can walk from podium to podium and discover the next chapter of the book. This event is hosted by the Santa Clarita Library, and they said they're thrilled to finally be able to provide this experience for the kids.
Well, especially after the last year and a half, a lot of kids didn't get a lot of outdoor activities. They didn't get a lot of exercise necessarily in with not going to school. So we really saw this as a way that when families are out enjoying our trail system, that they can also work on those literacy skills and building that reading that's so necessary for their education as well.
Staying in the house is something we are all far too familiar with, so finding opportunities to get out and engage in both physical and mental activities are a must for the children and the parents.
I normally will go to the story times at the library, so this is just an even more fun event with crafts and lots of things for my son to enjoy.
Walking in the forest, walking in the forest.
And although it was the reading and walking that got people to come, it was what was at the end of the trail that got people to stay.
Friendship is out there.
Story time.
All I have to do is look, and she got to work at once. Hello, hello.
Sing-alongs.
Can you clap your hands?
All performed by the Santa Clarita Children Librarians. And if you're wondering why this is something you've never heard of, well, that's because it was the first one, but it will definitely not be the last.
So we'll be switching the story once a quarter to a different book, and we'll do story time under the oak.
For Canyons News, I'm Mark O'Brien.
Can you say hello?
The pandemic required some businesses to shut down for months. One local gym has made accommodations to keep the sweat pouring. Ryan Rivera works out the details.
The Paseo Club was one of the first gyms in Santa Clarita Valley to reopen and stay open for the majority of the pandemic.
We've gone through a ton of different cleaning procedures and, air purification procedures and moving a lot of things outdoors. We're very fortunate. We've got 8 acres of space, so we've been able to push a lot of things outside. We offer some spin classes that are outdoors now, which means the ones that are still indoors have way more social distancing space. We've created definitely, building outdoor stages in which we can do our outdoor group exercise class.
Gyms are still trying to comply to all the new guidelines being updated by the health department.
Really, I think, across the fitness industry and tennis as well, we're still adapting. We're still looking at what comes next and what changes we're in for.
With the upcoming vaccine mandate, some of the policies being implemented are a little controversial.
Our front desk works tremendously hard. They've got to provide information across everything happening at the club at any given time to members, non-members, kids, adults, seniors. I think to ask them to also be vaccination police is a lot.
Even through unusual circumstances, people still try to accept them.
I think everyone has suffered. I think everyone wants to do the right thing. Maybe we don't necessarily always agree on exactly what the right thing is, but I believe that everyone is trying to survive this ridiculous time in our lives and be able to move forward.
For Canyons News, I'm Ryan Rivera.
Basketball, baseball, softball, and more. Daniel Rios visits a local church that takes learning a new sport to a whole new level.
Welcome to night 2!
Valley Lights Church held their first ever sports camp for kids ages 5 through 12 last week. The camp was held here locally in SCV at Rio Norte Junior High School. Valley Lights Church is a relatively new church that started in fall 2020 and actually meets every Sunday at Rio Norte as well. But why did such a new church hold such a big event?
Parents and families that we maybe wouldn't have had a chance to meet otherwise like coming to this. And it's a place to meet people, build friendships, and so it helps us get our name out there as well.
Nice. Run.
The camp is mostly run by volunteers from the church, most of them coming straight here after work to connect with others in the community.
A lot of the other volunteers that I don't know, we've been able to connect over the last couple days just since we've been here helping out and setting up and tearing down and all that kind of stuff. So that's been pretty refreshing as well.
The volunteers have been finding it easy to connect and enjoy the camp. But how have the kids enjoyed their time learning new sports?
First I thought that basketball would be hard, but then I noticed that they had a mini hoop and I learned how to hold the ball.
To get more information about the church and potentially attend the next sports camp, you can visit valleylightschurch.com. For Canyons News,
Keep going, buddy. Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
I'm Daniel Rios.
For 11 years, one team dominated the Foothill League. But this season, the Valencia Vikings are out of the equation after a pair of losses. Two other hungry programs met last Friday to earn a chance to win it all. Saugus hosted West Ranch to see who would remain undefeated in Foothill League play. After the Centurions built a 26-point lead in the first half, Sebastian Dallaire kept the chains moving with a short catch into the Cats' red zone. Moments later, Vinny Gallagher bounced outside, getting knocked out just short of the goal line to set up another touchdown. The Centurions' D also came to play. Defensive back Tyler Long tripped up quarterback Ryan Staub short of the end zone. Long stepped up again later in the third, picking off a deflection near midfield. The Centurions' tight coverage held in the red zone again as Cody Collier forced out receiver Brady Van Bennekum in the back of the end zone. With 5:42 left in the game, Brady Welch hit Encinas with a 17-yard pass at the 2-yard line, setting up Dion Turner to plow into the end zone for a final touchdown. Saugus finishes off a dominating 42-8 win, and with it clinches at least a tie for the Foothill League title. With that dominating victory over West Ranch, Saugus is looking ahead for this Friday's matchup with Valencia. But the philosophy of their program is to be ready for anything. It's about doing the work. Matthew Frieda has the call.
It may be wet, but the Saugus High School football team won't let a little rain wash away an opportunity to get better.
That's really what we're trying to do. We just want these guys to improve each and every day. We don't worry about the opponent. We don't worry about external factors. We just focus on us.
Last week, Saugus defeated previously unbeaten West Ranch 42-8 with a stifling defensive effort, marking the fourth consecutive week the team held its opponents to single-digit points.
We spent a lot of time preparing for their offense. I mean, we do for every opponent.
With the win, Saugus is now on the verge of repeating as Foothill League champions after defeating Valencia High School in April and ending their 11-year run. Now, the two teams will face off again this Friday. But this game is no bigger than any other team on their schedule.
Our mantra is very simple. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's true. We really don't care who the opponent is. I mean, the game dictates that we have to play against somebody, but as soon as you start worrying about your opponent, that's when things can go wrong.
With an opportunity to defend their title, Coach Jason Bourne won't let that blur the team's view from the task at hand.
I think when you start worrying about or thinking about that kind of stuff, it clouds the present, and that's one of our big things that we really try to do is be present, live in the moment.
It's the players' commitment to the program that Coach Bourne believes has led to the team's success.
The young men that we've been blessed with that have come to our program, they've bought into what we're selling. This is a place where we're all equal and we're just here to play football.
With one singular goal, championship aspirations, even a little rain won't dampen the day for the Saugus High School football program. With Canyons News, I'm Matthew Frieda.
Numbers from the CDC have revealed an alarming trend, an uptick in teenage suicide attempts during the pandemic. One man is tapping his own childhood experiences to change that. Lauren Hanna has more.
You start to remember the feelings of not wanting to go to school.
There's some points in time that stick with you.
It's common for kids to joke around and make jokes, but sometimes those jokes can become bullying.
With every swing, he's reminded of the moments that haunt him.
Wore a German soccer shirt because I was excited for the World Cup, and people would call me a Nazi.
That experience during school left teenage Jeff feeling alone.
The emotions that I had back then were overwhelming, anxious, scared to go to school, not knowing if someone's going to come up behind you or not, when, where, and those things go through your head.
And that's why he fights.
You're present. You can't think about anxiety, you can't think about depression, can't think about your bills. There's only one thing in your head, and that's, how do I survive? How do I have fun in this environment? And it's like meditation.
He opened his own gym in Newhall, where he teaches the youth how to turn those emotions into something productive. How to defend themselves, not just physically, but mentally.
Don't let the little hurdles slow you down. You're going to go through injuries, sickness, losses, and you can't take a break.
And so he doesn't. Constantly moving, forever challenging himself.
You have to just keep putting your shoes on, keep running your miles, keep working, put your head down to the mat, eyes forward, and just keep going, because you only have one chance to do something big.
For Canyons News, I'm Lauren Hanna.
Torn between his family and his love for music, one Santa Clarita man shares his journeys from the bandas of Mexico to his barbershop chair. Mark Monroy lines up the details.
Gustavo Gonzalez is a local barber here in Santa Clarita, and he's been cutting hair for the past 5 years. But his story to the States stretches far beyond these borders.
Well, the idea came to me some years ago because my dad was a barber, and I decided in the future that I would open my own business.
With the flip of a switch, his life changed. He once worked with many Mexican bands such as Los Tucanes de Tijuana and many famous Mexican artists such as Jenny Rivera. When he retired from the art of music, he decided to take on a different art, this time haircutting, located right here on Sierra Highway.
I began playing the drums in Mexico in a Mexican music group before I decided to come to the States.
He traveled all around the U.S., from Chicago, Texas, and Los Angeles. But all that traveling would prove difficult for him and his family.
The music career is very difficult, and also balancing a family at the same time. There's a saying in Mexico, it's either me or music.
He would later have to make the dreadful decision that no man would ever want to make, and that is to choose either his love for music or his love towards his family.
I decided to stay with my family and open up a barber shop so I can stay with my family.
When Gonzalez left the industry of music, he didn't know what to expect. But one thing is for certain, he has a much happier family and a successful life. Reporting for Canyons News, I'm Mark Monroy.
That does it for this edition of Canyons News. I'm Jeremy Thompson. Remember, you can catch us on the web at canyonsnews.com. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.